Hi and welcome to this DCP web tutorial. This is the third part of this bookkeeping tutorial. In the previous two tutorials I created these videos which explain how to keep track of your invoices and how to create an invoice template. So this tutorial really focused on keeping track of what invoices your customers have paid, when they've paid, what the work you did, what it was. And this second tutorial really focused on creating an actual invoice that you would send to your customer. You could either print that out or you could send that via email as a PDF file. So let's have a quick look at those two documents that we created. Here's the first one, it was the tracker, and we notice inside this tracker document we have an invoice date. This is the date we sent the invoice to the customer, an invoice number. These will always be a unique number for each invoice. Then we had a date that the customer actually paid us, and we know that they paid via bank transfer. So we also have here is a payment reference. So when the customer paid the bank transfer, normally they'll put some sort of reference there. And we have what the work was done. So it was logo design for a leaflet distribution company, and then we had the company name, how much we invoiced for, and whether they've paid or not. So in this spreadsheet we could easily see the blue ones are the ones that haven't been paid, and these are the ones we've got to chase up, and everything in green has been paid. So that's good. So I'm going to close that and we'll look at the second document we created. It was an invoice tracker, an invoice template. We created this master template and we just simply copy this and then move it to this main directory, and we'll rename it. And if we open up the actual document, we'll see that we have our company logo. So this will be your logo, your address details. We have a unique invoice number, so this is the first invoice, and this will change to a number 2 when we create the next invoice, and 3 and 4 and so forth. We have an invoice date. The date is important. We have a billing address and a delivery address. Depending on what type of business you run, I run a web company, so I don't really have any delivery addresses. Everything gets done on the web, so there's no delivery really. But this is the billing details here on this side. And then we have a description, the quantity, the unit cost, and the subtotal for the actual work that was done. So I'm not going to go too much into this document, but once we created that document, we simply converted it into a PDF file, and then this PDF file we can send directly to our customer via email. That's how I normally do it. I just add this in an attachment and send it to the customer in an email. So if you want to learn more about creating these documents, I suggest you go and check out those two tutorials first. I would advise you go through these two tutorials first, because the third one is a separate workflow. So in this third tutorial, we can think of these first two as money that's coming into the business. This is what we're charging our customers for. So in this third tutorial, we want to create an Excel spreadsheet or an open office calc spreadsheet, which will allow us to keep track of our expenditure, what we're spending in the business. So what I'm going to do now is open up Open Office Calc. You can do the same thing in Microsoft Excel if you have Excel, but I'm using open source software, so anyone can use this software. It's available on Mac, PC, Linux systems. So we'll open up Open Office Calc, and the first thing we should always do is save our document. So I'm just going to save this. Let's just go to here and we're going to call this, expenditure tracker, and we'll put today's date. I did this first tutorial a few months ago, so we'll put today's date here. It's the 23rd of the 8th. Let's just put the 23rd of the 8th, 2014. And let's just consider what we actually want to achieve in this document. So when I run quite a small business, not a huge company, so if you're running, these tutorials are really for small businesses. And if you think about it in your business, whether you're just about to start or you've been running your business for some time, normally you're going to need to buy some equipment or stationery or stamps for posting or paper to write on, or printing paper, or a printer itself, or a new computer, or a keyboard, or a mouse. Endless things that you need to buy for your business, and you want to keep track of what you're purchasing, because when at the end of the year, when you go to your accountant and you give him all of your invoices, what you sent out, your incoming revenue, and he's also going to want to see what have you spent in your business, your expenditure, what's going out as well. So there's really two types of documents that we really want to put into this spreadsheet. We have invoices that we've paid, but we also have receipts as well. So if you go to your local shop and you purchase something like some printing paper, for example, or printer inks, then they're going to give you a till receipt. But if you order something online, let's say from Amazon, for example, then you're going to receive an invoice. Really, those two documents are one and the same thing. It's just, you can consider it as proof of purchase. You purchased this particular product at a certain time. Whether it's an invoice or receipt, we can think of them as one of the same thing. They're just slightly different types of documents. So in this first column, what we want to do is label these columns across the top, and the first thing we're going to put in here is invoice slash receipt date. Let's just spell that correctly. So we've got an invoice slash receipt date, and we want in here date paid. In the C column we're going to put a description, and then we want the company. This is the company that we paid the money to, and the cost. So we want to know how much we paid for that certain product, let's say. So we're going to click on this number 1. That's going to highlight this row across the top, and we're going to make it bold, and let's just save our work. And we can see this first column's got the word date in it. So we're going to select the letter A, we're going to right click, and we're going to format the cells, and we're going to convert, we're going to click on numbers, and we want to convert it into a date field. So we're going to click on date, and I'm going to use the default date. I'm going to click OK, and this is also a date. So we're going to click on the B, we're going to go to format cells, and we're going to select date as well. I'm going to click OK. Description we can leave alone, the company we can leave as it is. It's just going to be a text field, let's say. And then the cost, we're going to click on E, we're going to right click, and we're going to format cell, and we're going to set it to currency. Okay, we can see not really much has happened. Let's just save this, and let's just take some scenarios. We need to take some examples of what might happen here. So let's just assume we're starting the first day of the month. So let's just say let's say we're starting from today's date here, 28th of the 8th, 2014. So we went out to the local shop on the 28th of the 8th, 2014. And in fact, let's just do one more thing. We're going to click on this left-hand column, this button right here. It's kind of sitting in between 1 and A, so it's right in the top left-hand corner. We click on that, and then we're going to select left align. So we're going to left align all of our information. So all of these cells will now be left aligned. So we went out to the shops today on the 28th of the 8th, 2014, and we went to the local shop, and we happened to purchase some printing paper. So we're going to put printing paper into the description, and then we purchased that from a company called WH Smiths. So we're going to put the company name in here, and we paid, let's just say $5.99 for that printing paper. And we happened to, because we went to the local shop, we paid it on the same day. So we put the same date in here. We paid it on the same day. And in fact, thinking about this now, we've really got one field that's missing. So what I'm going to do is click here on the column C. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say insert column. We need a new column here, and in here we're going to write payment method, and we're going to say that we paid with cash. So we just gave them cash, and that's how we paid for this particular piece of some printing paper. Okay, that's cool. So that, you know, that receipt has been documented. Now we're going to move down one, and we're going to say we bought some printer ink. So, and we did this 2 days later. So we did on the 30th of the 8th, 2014, and we paid on the same date. but we happen to pay using our credit card, and it was printer ink, and we paid it. We bought it from Amazon, for example, and we paid $14.99. So we've got two different types of payments here. We've got one that's cash and one that's credit card. And we're going to now put a third example in, and on the 1st of the 9th September 2014, we received an invoice. So this is someone that sent us a payment request for something, for whatever it might be. And let's just use a good example. Let's just say it was something from our accountant. So it was a yearly, let's call it end of year accounting fee. So our accountant sent us this end of year. End of year happens to be the end of August. So the 1st of the 9th is our new year, and our accountant has sent us some end of year accounting fee. So we can put in our accountant's name. I'm just going to make it up, XYZ. Accountants. And that invoice was for £195, let's say. And we happened to pay this by cheque, so we sent him a cheque payment. Now the key thing here is the date that's paid. You know, normally when someone sends you an invoice, the invoice on there is going to have some payment terms. It's going to say you're going to need to pay this invoice within 14 days or 24 days or 30 days, whatever it might be. Even when we created our own invoice in the previous tutorial, if we look at the document that we created, payment terms, please make payment on invoice within 30 days. So when we receive an invoice, it's going to have payment terms on there as well. And it happened to say that our accountant said on his invoice, it said you have to pay within 30 days. And you happen to pay this, you received it on the 1st of the 9th, that's the date on the actual invoice itself, but you happen to pay it on the 14th, 2 weeks later. So you can see there's going to be a different date in here. You didn't pay on the same date. So it's worth keeping track of when you've actually made that payment. That's quite important as well. So we're going to save this. So, you know, as the month goes along, you're going to keep documenting this information. You're going to keep adding in all this information, and at the end of the month, you're going to have at least some idea of how much you've spent within your business within that given month. There might be reasons why you've spent quite a lot of money. You might have bought a new computer. You know, let's put some more examples in here. Let's do the 2nd of the, let's make it a little bit in the future. Let's say the 14th of the 9th, 2014, and you paid you made the payment on the same date. You paid via credit card, and you bought a new laptop computer, and you bought that from PC World, and you paid £495 for that. So the idea here is that you don't do all of this work at the end of the month. Maybe at the end of the week you look at all of your invoices, all of your receipts that you have for cash purchases, any payments that you sent via check, and you try and document this at the end of every week. You know, a good idea is to do this every day, but you may not be in the office every day to get this documented. But don't leave it till the end of the month, because at the end of the month you're going to have a lot of things to document, and it becomes you have to put everything in date order. And normally in my own business, as soon as I've documented something, I put it into a file and I put everything into date order. So all my invoices, I put them in date order. All of the receipts I have, I put them in date order. I keep a real concise, folder of all the information in the correct date order, and I try and keep it as clean and as tidy as possible. I don't try and do this at the end of every month, because it's just a bigger task. So you might as well do this as regular as possible, and you'll find at the end of the month you just got only a small job to tidy up and just get that out of the way. So I hope this document's making sense. For example, I'm just going to drag down and I'm going to generate some more dates. Let's just generate it up to, let's say, the 31st, and we can say that this was one calendar month, and then we're going to do the same here, and we're just going to copy this information. You would have put in, you know, some correct information. It wouldn't be repeats here of information, but we're just going to copy this down, and we can now see an example of what your spreadsheet might look like after 1 month, after 31 days or 30 days. And once you have this information here, you know, there's quite a few different things you could do here. So for example, if we click on this number 1, we can add some auto filters into here, and we could say how much did we spend as cash, and we can see all the cash payments. Then we can click here and we can do a sum tool, and we could say we spent £47.92 as cash, and you could see credit card payments. You can see all the credit card payments you made, and you can select that and see how much you paid using credit card. Or you could do a grand total, so you could do select all, and you can see everything, and you can say how much did I spend in the month, and you spent 4,977. So that's how much you spent at the end of the month on your expenditure. But if we went to our previous spreadsheet, our invoice tracker, and we looked at this document, and we summed this, our money coming in, we can see we generated 13,710. So you in that 1 month period, you generated £13,000, but out of that 13,000, you spent 499, or less, almost £5,000 on your costs. So you can see easily now your incoming costs or your incoming revenue from this spreadsheet, and you can see what's going out on this spreadsheet. So that's how I keep track of what I'm spending and what's coming in, and it's good to know that in your business, because it's going to help you in the long run to see where all your expenses are and whether you could be saving money. I don't know if you're using an inkjet printer and you're spending $49.99 every month. You may opt to buy a laser printer, and you could spend maybe £60 on a cartridge, and that will last you the whole year. So there's ways that you can look at this spreadsheet and you can work out where your costs are and try and break it down in a better way. You can maybe work out where you can save some money as well, which is quite important. So this was just test data in here. Really, you would have other things in here, other expenses, other costs. You might have mobile phone costs, so every month you've got a mobile phone bill. You might have internet access costs here that might be listed, and you might go and buy some stamps for sending letters out to your customers. You may have your internet web hosting costs here. You might have domain registration costs here. You can put your staff wages costs in here. So you can have all that information documented in one spreadsheet to give you an overview of what you spent in a month. And you continuously add to this document, and you keep adding all the information until you've got a whole year's worth of information. And then at the end of the year, you can see how much you spent at the end of the year. Yeah, that's quite important to know. And you could also see from this spreadsheet how much you've generated at the end of the year. And then you can work out your cash flow, your profits and your margins and so forth. And then, you know, you can reflect on that, and in the following year's worth of business, you want to try and reduce the costs here, what you're spending, and obviously you want to try and increase the amount of money that's coming in. So I hope that all makes sense. It's a pretty simple spreadsheet. I don't want to overcomplicate it. It's very simple to keep track of your information. I think what's most important is keeping a file of this information. So make sure that you're filing these things away. Don't just stick them in a shoebox, and at the end of the year you've got all your paperwork all messy. You want to keep this nice and clean in a simple folder, and just make sure you do that on a regular basis. Keep this up to date once a week. Do this job, and it will make your life a lot easier. So I hope that all made sense. If you've got any problems, I'm going to be uploading this video onto YouTube. This is the final part of that tutorial. It's very quick and simple, and if you've got any problems, you're not too sure, feel free to message me on YouTube, and I'll try and give you some tips or pointers. Okay, look forward to seeing you on the next tutorial.